Welcome. Today we're diving into a really powerful set of teachings from the Qur'an and the Sunnah, the sayings and practices of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. We're going to explore 10 lessons that, when you put them all together, form this incredible guide for life. It's all about connecting the biggest cosmic questions to our most personal, everyday actions. So let's get started.
So what does connect ancient spirits, table manners, and the end of the world? I know, it sounds a bit like a riddle, right? But the answer actually lies in this really comprehensive worldview, where the grand cosmic scale is deeply connected to our smallest daily habits, and these 10 lessons are going to show us exactly how that all works.
Okay, so to get started, we've got to look at the big picture. Before we can even begin to understand the how of our daily lives, Islamic teachings first lay down the fundamental why of our existence. It frames everything, from a beginning that came way before us to an end that's waiting for all of us.
So this slide here, it frames our entire reality between two incredibly powerful points. On one end, you've got a beginning, before humanity even existed, with the creation of the Jinn. And on the other end, a definitive, powerful end. Now, this isn't just some story. It really sets the stage for our purpose and, ultimately, our accountability.
Yeah, according to the sources, long before humans were around, the Earth was actually inhabited by the Jinn, beings created from a smokeless fire. Their story is a really crucial part of the prelude to our own story. It establishes a history of life and moral choice on this planet even before we showed up.
And listen to this verse from the Qur'an. It describes the day of judgment, when the earth itself will testify to our actions because its Rabb, its Lord, commanded it to. This creates a critical timeline for our existence, right? It's bookended by this pre-human past and a post-human future, reminding us that every single thing we do has eternal significance.
So with that cosmic why in place, the teachings then turn inward. They focus on the what. What kind of person are we supposed to be within that timeline? And this brings us to the absolutely essential inner qualities a believer is commanded to build.
Now, before we go any further, it's really important we get this term, fard. Fard isn't a suggestion. It's not just a good idea. It is an absolute obligatory duty for a Muslim. And understanding that is critical for grasping the weight of what's coming next.
This statement right here is just wow. It's so profound. It directly links the perfection of your faith, your Imaan, to the quality of your character. So having good character isn't just a nice to have, a social grace. The source makes it crystal clear that it is fard, an essential, non-negotiable part of faith itself.
So this slide gives us a really simple but powerful framework. The goal is clear: excellent character. The tools to build it: piety and patience. And then there's a huge warning: the excessive love of this worldly life, the dunya, which can totally undermine the entire foundation.
Let's talk about those tools for a second. Taqwa, that's a state of being conscious of God, just being mindful of Him in everything you do. And Sabr is patience. It's perseverance, especially when things get tough. And the Quran gives a direct promise here. The effort you put into developing these qualities is never, ever lost.
And this slide really drives home that warning we just talked about. The declaration of faith, La ilaha illallah, is the bedrock of Islam. It's meant to be a shield, but it only works if your deen, your religion, your way of life, is prioritized over worldly attachments, the dunya. If the dunya comes first, that very same declaration can be rejected. It's just a stark reminder of where our priorities really need to be.
Okay, so we've covered the grand cosmic view and the essential inner character. Now let's get practical. How does all of this actually translate into our day-to-day lives? Well, this section is all about putting that faith into practice through really specific, tangible actions.
Let's start with something we all do, every single day: eating. The Prophet's practice, his Sunnah, turns this ordinary act into a moment of worship. It's just 3 simple steps: begin in God's name, use your right hand, and eat from what's right there in front of you. It's all about mindfulness and gratitude, even in the smallest details.
And just as faith guides how we nourish our bodies every day, it also guides our worship throughout the year. So, beyond the fasts that are required, this teaching encourages voluntary fasting during Muharram, which is the first month of the Islamic calendar. It highlights a path for anyone who wants to do a little more. Now, this guidance isn't just about things we should do, it's also about things we absolutely must avoid to protect our community. For example, there's a severe warning here against eavesdropping. Respecting people's privacy isn't just good manners, it's a serious religious obligation.
And the consequence that's described for this sin on the Day of Judgment is, well, it's terrifyingly specific. Molten lead poured into the ears. That kind of vivid imagery is meant to underscore just how serious it is to violate another person's trust and their privacy.
And while these teachings protect our spiritual and social well-being, they also extend to our physical lives. Check out this fascinating historical account. It shows a practical remedy from the life of the Prophet, peace be upon him. During a battle, his daughter stopped his bleeding using the ashes from a burnt palm mat, a simple but effective cure.
This connection between the physical and the divine also shows up in stories of miraculous help. Take the famous companion Abu Huraira. He's one of the most prolific narrators of the Prophet's sayings, but he had a problem. He really struggled with his memory.
So he brings this problem to the Prophet, peace be upon him. And in response, the Prophet made a prayer, a dua for him, and then performed this simple symbolic act. He told Abu Huraira to take his shawl and just hold it to his chest.
And the result? It was nothing short of miraculous. From that moment on, Abu Huraira's memory became perfect. He never again forgot a single saying he heard from the Prophet. It's just a beautiful story about seeking help, the power of prayer, and that divine intervention in our own human struggles.
So after looking at all these different pieces, from the creation of Jinn to a cure for wounds, how do they all fit together? Well, the goal is to see them not as some random list of rules, but as parts of a single cohesive blueprint for how to live.
At the end of the day, these 10 lessons connect the dots. They connect the unseen world with our seen world, our inner character with our outer actions. They show us that faith is meant to be woven into every single aspect of life, giving us a complete framework for a life filled with purpose, mindfulness, and real meaning.
And that brings us to our final question, something for you to think about. We've covered cosmic beginnings, inner virtues, and daily practices. Looking at this whole picture, which one of these lessons speaks most directly to where you are in your life, right here, right now?